Well, hello, friends, neighbors. Joining me, Neighbor here. Welcome down to the Nook. Welcome to Sunday. So we are shooting samples, and that's really because you guys send me them. Kirby out of Calgary. Can't thank you enough. This is Highland Park cask strength number 4, and it's really timing because I just came back from Calgary, and it seemed like everybody had it on sale for right around $92, $93, which is pretty good value for a cask strength Highland Park. And I have been working my way through this cask strength number 3 and the number 2 before it. So it's just really nice to see has it evolved in the series. You know, Highland Park, beautiful distillery in Orkney Island, known for its kind of heathered peat and whatnot. So sherried malt, peated malt, but not that Isla, iodine peat. Well, we'll see how it holds up. This is batch 3, but the focus is actually going to be this sample that Kirby sent me of batch 4 to see if it's worth picking up, especially because it's everywhere and on sale. 3, 4. Thanks for staying with me. You know, I'm going to do a bottle shot on the 3 now because it's nice to kind of show like what does Highland Park look like. This, I know they're in a rebrand right now. They're changing the look from this, but these releases have this, all this style on the bottling, the kind of Viking heritage going on. This is, the bottle here is cask strength number 3, 64.1, I think, and cask strength 4 is 64.3. So similar in proof, but very, very, very strong. Now, one of the things, we'll get to more about 3 on the comparison, but for 4, what's right on their site, which is nice, it talks about, it's sherry seasoned European first fill, American first fill, reused casks. This one says ex-bourbon and it says a little bit of export. That's quite a bit of different casking going on in here. Bourbon, sherry, American and European, and refill and port. So that's what's going on in this release. Of course, these are non-age stamps, so I imagine they're pretty young. But being the size of distillery that they are, it's still probably likely, no younger than 8. I'm sure they have lots of liquid kicking around, so it's just that they don't want to advertise the age on it. Okay, let's see what cask strength release number 4 Highland Park is like on the nose. It's a very heavily sherried, but maybe a bit of that export, a little bit of chocolates, heavy wines, lots of sweet fruits. Yeah, and a rich spice palette already there. Those Christmas, for me, it's leading with ginger for some reason, a little bit of orange. Yeah, I would say for 64.3 or 1, I don't remember which is which, surprising. I mean, there's not much in here, but I have left a little bit after the short opening. It seemed like it was a little bit tight, so I just let it sit in the glass. Nothing wrong. Of course, a minute in the glass every year in the cask, but you know what? Let your whiskey breathe. Pour it, let it sit there. Getting a really nice fruity sherry note. Wines, orange, little bit of light sugar toffees, little bit of vanillas. You know what? I like the nose. It would tell me that this is probably going to be a decent pour. Let's try it on the palate. Sledge. A couple of things happen there. One, I got to remember it's 64%. If you're going to have it without water, you got to have the tiniest slips, because really you have to let your own kind of loosen it up a bit, because that is really, really hot. And I might have burnt out my palate a little bit. I took a little bit too much. I don't know why. And now I'm getting, what I like about Highland Park? A nice sherried, not overly peated dram. There's peat in there for good smoke conversation, campfire-ish, but it's not, for me, very iodine, very, medicinal, heavy peat. Now, sometimes I'm looking for those notes, but right now, I just really like the almost creamy, sherried, wine-heavy, not like, it's not a sherry bomb, but like all of those notes, some good barley sugars, a little bit of light toffees, and then just peat them all over some nicer light vegetable peat earthiness. Kind of drives you into an earthiness, caskiness, like it just feels grounded. And that's really what I like about Highland Park. It just takes me to good places without challenging me too much, except for on the strength. I really wanted to, obviously do a second sip and try to get at more of the port notes, but I think I might capture them in comparison notes. I don't know that, but I think maybe. So I'm gonna try this number 3. Now I've already shown you the bottle. There's no reason to do this again on the bottle cam for you, but it is what's known here. When you go to their website, it talks about the first fill, but refill, European and American. That didn't come out right at all. It's sherry seasoned, European first fill and American first fill casks, and then it says some refill casks. It doesn't say in the description ex-bourbon. I was sure there was ex-bourbon in here, but it's certainly the refill cask could be refill ex-bourbon casks. But it mentions that it contains a little bit more of the peated malt portion for the Orkney malts. And in contrast, it's interesting because here in the paragraph of taste notes, I did read them, talks about that sweetness and vanillas from ex-bourbon. In contrast, coming back here, this nose is sweeter for me. Not sweeter leathered fruits, just sweeter fruit. Yeah, a little more lemon, less orange. Yeah, this, again, that ginger, it's really going somewhere. This to me is a sweeter on the nose, more sugars. Let's try it on the palate. Looking for that extra peat. Sancha. It's really good. It is a little more coating for me. It is a little more like syrup sweet. So, and I did the right amount in my mouth. And that I'm going to come back and try this again because right now it's like, oh, that was just better balance. I could say now a little earthier, a little peatier. Definitely less wine notes, less, whatever that little bit of port in here, less of that, like less. It's just got some sweet fruits, not quite orchard. It's still pushing into the sherried fruits, but syrup and candy and sweetness and light lemon and toasted sweet almonds. Boy, I'm really saying that word a lot, but it just set up that way. I'll try another quick sip. You can tell I'm taking very small sips. If I was drinking this with someone, we'd be watering it to the proof that would make it a little bit more enjoyable to sip and relax. At 64, I'm just trying to taste the malt. Setting up a little more ashy on the second sip, a little more, that peat is definitely coming through. Want to come back to cask strength batch number 4. This is the one with a little bit of export. Doesn't mention extra peat. Let's try it on the nose. Continues to be all the things I've said. A little bit more wine. Sancha. I like that. It's a little more drying, a little more chocolate wafer, a little more graham cracker, a little bit more ginger, a little bit orange. Even though their description talked about some of the sweet vanillins and whatnot you get from ex-bourbon and coconuts, this right now for me is drinking more savory, more cookie crumble, more those kinds of things. This right now for me, and I could be dead wrong and against everyone else out there, and I'm sorry for that, but in this contrast, this one is tasting like, yes, there's more peat. Could be because I'm convincing myself of that, but there's a little bit more peat, but there is a lot more kind of syrup sweetness on the third. This would be a mood, how to choose which one. I think they're both quite good, but this number 4 is coming up a little bit more savory, a little more cookie, chalky, less that kind of thing. So if you're looking for that kind of dram that would cut something, maybe you're having a sweet dessert, I think this would work really, really well. Well, thanks for staying this long. If you're staying this long, you're probably a long time viewer of the channel. I'm trying out these travel mics. I got them on a Kickstarter. I don't know why I don't just buy good mics. I know why, they're too expensive. But I was curious to see how they'd work here before I took them on the road, because the ones that I take on the road are pretty cheap. This is a little bit step up, but I was curious how they played out. So let me know how the sound worked out on this once we get to it. Thanks. You guys, have you had batch 3 or batch 4? Why don't you let me know?